Tom Clark's Main Event is a Boink Studios production. And now, on with the show.
This is Daddy's show. Step off.
Hey, what is up? Welcome to the program, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tom Clark, and this right here is Tom Clark's Main Event. What's up, kids? There I be. What's going on? How's everybody doing today? Happy Friday to you. I'm hanging out in the office as per the norm with the Pops and the Bass and the Beatles. There they are. And John is down there. John speaks. His battery might be dead. He pressed the button. It's the New York outfit with the New York City shirt and the denim jacket. He's awesome. Sorry, I got lost. What's going on, kids? Hope everybody's doing great out there. I am watching the replay of Full Gear. I don't know how many times I've watched this show. We're going to get into that. It's fun stuff. We've got an action-packed, jam-packed show today. Before we get started, let's get the ticker ticking. There we go. Let's get the corner logo. Where are you? There you be. There we go. And let's go ahead and say our typical hellos to kick off the show, and then we're going to get it rolling. Sandy in Germany, what's up, my friend? What's going on? Jeff, thanks for hanging out. Shannon, welcome back. Shane, what's up, brother? How are you? Chris, what's going on, my friend? You guys are even speaking to each other. That's like, I'm like creating a family here on the Facebook. Isn't that fun? You guys are like talking to each other. That's the coolest thing. Everyone play nice. Don't make daddy get the belt. That got weird, didn't it? What's up, Brendan? Tom is in the Royal Rumble. I'm doing great, man. How are you? As long as I don't have to run down the ramp. If I don't have to run down the ramp, if I could just like saunter down the ramp, that would be fine. Running's out of the question. What's up, Timothy? What's going on, my friend? Greg, what's going on? Jamel in Vegas, what's up, my friend? Man, we got a lot of people to say hello to. What's up, Robbie? Alma, what's going on? Mark. And I'm gassed. How you like that? I'm blown up. That's what they say, right? So Greg says Southern Maryland in the house. North Carolina here, my friend. So I'm doing, fam's doing good there. Jamel, thank you for that. Hope your family's doing well as well. Well, there you go. Oh, man, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff here today. We're going to do something a little bit different. No, I'm not going to sing and dance. Although you never know. You never know, kid. You know what I mean? I could make that happen. So, Sandy says he shared this. Sandy, you got friends in Germany, yes? You got friends everywhere, I'm sure. Thanks for sharing the stream, man. I appreciate it. By the way, if you guys watch every week, and I know like the majority of you do, share the show, man. Let's get the thing out there. We just celebrated episode 200. By the way, this is episode 202. All right, so we're still clicking right along, man. Since 2014, you saw the logo, didn't you? Made that myself. Yes, I did. Anyway, 6 years strong. We're still going, man. But like I said, we got an action-packed show here today, man. We're going to start kicking this thing off here in all good time. But before we go any further, we actually have a special guest. I announced it here this morning, and I know what you're thinking. God, you took all day, didn't you, to get to it? Yeah, I did, because they call me last minute Tom. No one calls me that, but it seems to fit because sometimes I push stuff to the very last minute. This is no exception. But I have a friend that I met online. This is a guy who actually hosts the Untitled Wrestling podcast. I don't want to get the name wrong, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Mr. Troy Grant. And there he is. What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
What's up? I'm very well, man. How are yourself?
Doing great, man. Thanks again for coming on. I appreciate it.
Not at all. Thank you for having me, man. It's an honor.
Cool. Thank you, man. So everybody say hello to Troy. Troy, meet the kids. They're all great. They're all excited to see you. So everybody plays nice here for the most part. Everybody gets along. We create a friendly culture. So we try to anyway.
Yeah,
so,
it's awesome, man.
Yes. So we've got a lot to talk about. Let's go ahead and get this thing kicked off as per the usual. Everybody out there, comment whatever you want to comment. We will get to you as soon as we possibly can. I don't like to leave anybody off the grid here. You guys know how I roll. But we're going to go ahead and start. We always start with SmackDown and work our way forward. So let's talk about something that I like to call 3 SmackDown takeaways of the week. I know what you're thinking. It's new. It's new. I had to roll out the red carpet for my guest and try some new stuff. So either this thing's going to be a massive hit or the show's going to run like 3 hours because I put too much stuff in it. So we'll see how it goes. And I'm going to get your take on this because we're talking about women's wrestling before we started here today.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I like to call Sasha Banks versus Bayley. More of this. Because, brother, we need more of this, not only in that company, but in all these companies. Women's wrestling is losing some of its luster in Vince McMahon's world, in my humble opinion. I know in yours as well. Talk to me about this match. Was this match awesome or what?
This was superb. I had been speaking to some friends and thought they were going to hold off on a rematch of them for a while. I thought, oh, okay, they may do something at Mania or at the Rumble. They might have, Sasha go out injured and then come back at the Rumble and challenge Bayley at Mania. But, they've had it now, and I'm glad they did because this was awesome. And it opened the show as well. Like a match that arguably should have been on the back end of a pay-per-view, the back end of, a weekly show, but it opened up. And it really, really kind of set the bar high for everything else. And for me, nothing else really came close to it on the rest of the show because this was excellent. This is how you treat the women in your women's division and give them the time, give them the space, the showcase to do what they do best because this was excellent.
Absolutely. So having said all that, do you think they knee jerk a little bit? Was it too soon for this? And by the way, if the answer is no or yes, whatever it is, should it really have opened the show? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, it's a strange one. I mean, I loved it. I thought it was awesome. Yeah. Part of me thinks they've pulled the trigger a little too early. I would have liked to have seen this match maybe a couple of minutes down the line. Maybe at I don't know if they're planning on doing TLC in December or something like that. Maybe something then and hold off for a little bit. It seems a bit too soon after their last one. I get why they've done it. I mean, I assume there was, stuff on various networks they were competing with. And there was obviously the whole, presidential election, this, that, and the other. And I'm sure kind of like drawing in an audience that early on with a big match like this played a part of it. So I get why they did it. But any other time, ordinarily, I don't think they would have done. I think a lot of it was down to circumstance.
I agree with that, and I hadn't thought about the ratings piece of it. That makes a lot of sense. Trying to grab people at the beginning of the show, that makes sense. Aaron says long-term booking. Those three words put together are lost on a lot of these companies, unfortunately. And WWE, who begins an angle on a Monday, and by Friday they've forgotten all about it. So
it's funny because it's absolutely true. It's not even an exaggeration in some circumstances.
And honestly, people give fans grief for feeling that way and for being critical. And I get it. The fan base can be toxic. I mean, I'm a Star Wars fan, and I know toxic fan bases when I see one. So this is definitely can be one as well. But I'm sorry. I think a little criticism is good. And I think if it's in terms of wanting the product to be better, I don't see an issue with that at all. But I'm with you. This match could not have gone better. I'm glad it happened. I mean, if it's going to happen, may as well happen now. And maybe they're getting it out of the way so they can circle back around and come back to it at a later point. Maybe they didn't want to just draw this thing out forever and a day. Like maybe in a month or so, they circle back to it. And if they do, I'm sure it'll work then too.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure that, like you said, they do this a little bit down the line. I'm going to be just as invested because this match was excellent. Everything they do is really, really good.
Yes.
Bayley's someone that's grown on me quite a bit, actually, over maybe the last 6 months or so. And I wasn't really sold on her, certainly when they turned her, and I wasn't really sold on it. But I think after the whole thing with the chair a couple of months ago and her and putting, Sasha's neck in the chair and stuff, and I think me and a few mates said it, and she went full champer with the chair. I just absolutely went wild on it, and I was like, okay, now I'm sold on it.
Right. And by the way, I love you pronounce his name correctly because no one says his name correctly. It is Tommaso Ciampa. You're 100% right. So you're one of the few people I've met that pronounces it correctly. They even get it wrong on the air. How they do that, I don't know.
I know.
Cherie, what's up, my friend? She said they should have waited for Survivor Series with Sasha and Bayley, but knowing WWE, they probably would give Carmella a title. Yeah, honestly, I think you're probably right. What's your take on the Carmella thing? What's the old saying goes is that you go away for a bit and learn a new hold and then come back. It's like a fresh coat of paint. Is that working for her? Because it looks like the same old Carmella to me.
Carmelina, as we call her. This is the whole Emma and the Emmalina, like the transformation. It's just like, no, not for me. Not for me.
Yeah.
I wasn't really ever sold on her beforehand. And
no, I wasn't either. And I got nothing against her, but I don't know. I mean, the moonwalking thing, I'm always thinking, and I'm sure they're encouraged because the women, when they come out WWE, and I'm sure it's like this in a lot of companies, when they come out, the minute they hit the ramp, they got to do their thing, whether it's a twirl or it's a moonwalk or it's I have to do this.
He's like, I have to do this, or something. Yeah.
And I'm sure they're being coached. Now, don't you forget when you go out there, you got to do your thing. Like, okay. I mean, we're all so obsessed with the brand. We have to brand it, Tom. They got to be branded. Okay. Just get in the ring, wrestle, impress me. I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Shan says outside of Bayley and Sasha, it's good to be a woman in the NXT women's division. To your point, tell her how right she is, my friend.
100% right. I don't understand how NXT can get their women's roster so right, and it be arguably, not even say arguably, it's the best women's roster division in any promotion right now for me. I don't know how they get it so wrong on SmackDown and Raw, and how there's such a disconnect between them, and how you get people that come from NXT. Asuka, prime example of being the absolute biggest deal, and now she's doing what? I mean, yes, she's champion at the moment, but I mean, how long did it take to put the belt on her? And she's never really felt the same as she did in NXT. She wasn't that unstoppable force. She's not that unbeatable, like, you know, butt kicking machine sort of thing. So yeah, it's there's a massive disconnect, and I don't understand why. Well, I do understand partly why it's there, but it just doesn't make sense, because you've got a roster of some incredibly talented women, and they're just not being utilized enough, and they're not being given a chance all the time to showcase why they're there.
And, you know, honestly, Asuka is so good. She is so good. But when they've got her screaming and doing all that stuff, I'm like, all right, don't hold that against her. That's still her. But it's like, no, I don't know.
That's hokey.
Yeah, it feels like she's being coached to be a cartoon character to me. That's I don't know. I don't get that.
She wasn't doing that in NXT, and people enjoyed her there.
Exactly right. Ray Dean, who, by the way, is a massive Adam Cole fan. Ray says Carmella is horrible. I can't see her beating Banks. I think Flair comes back and makes it better. NXT is so much better. Then again, they have King Adam. Well, there he goes. He's got to end with Adam Cole. So
he's not biased at all.
No, not at all. He calls it right down the middle. He's Shawn Michaels as a referee. So that's what he is. No swinging a chair from Ray. A couple more before we move on here. Marcus says Bayley and Carmella should both be on Team SmackDown. We don't have to talk long about the Survivor Series thing. I'm going to cover that next week. But the Survivor Series work without a full live audience?
For me, no. That's one of my favorite pay-per-views of the year. For that, there's got to be a crowd. Yeah,
I agree with you. It doesn't feel right. Another takeaway that I have from SmackDown is Jey Uso is freaking on fire.
Preach!
My God. How, all right. So not just I'm sure you have, I'm sure we've all said for years, take the governor off of some of these talents and just let them do what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, now some of them are not capable of that. I'm going to call it for what it is. Some of these guys and gals came up through their PC. They never were on the indies. They never touched the territory system. They never did any of that stuff. Their only experience on this planet is through the PC. That maybe they're not capable. I'm just going to call it like it is. The Usos are capable. I mean, and Jay's proving it, man. This thing with Roman Reigns, it's still so odd that he's like having to bow down to him and stuff. And it's a weird dynamic, but they're telling such a great story, man. Talk to me about how great Jay's been so far.
It's been absolutely incredible. Like, the Usos have always been one of my, if not my favorite tag teams in recent memory. Like, I love everything about them. And, when Jimmy went out injured, and I thought, okay, is this going to end up the same as any other tag team where the other guy isn't really established as a singles competitor and he's just sat in the back doing nothing, or makes odd appearances every now and again? A lot like they've done with the Viking Raiders, Viking Experience, whatever they're calling themselves now. And Ivar's out injured, and we've got Eric this week on Raw jobbing out in the 24/7 match. That's tends to be what they do with the other guy in these tag teams when one goes out injured. However, Jay has more than showed that he's capable of holding his own, and everything they do each and every week, whether it's on SmackDown or on pay-per-view, is gold. And Jey Uso is amazing, and we're seeing a lot more of his kind of character and the development coming out of that, and like a move set as well. Like, it's not just the same stuff he's hitting when he's in a tag team and that tandem offense. We're seeing a lot more kind of just some really, really good stuff from him. It's really enjoyable to watch.
Shane with an interesting comparison, comparing Jey Uso to Jay Briscoe.
Okay.
Shane, I'm a massive Briscoes fan. Jay is phenomenal. He is one of those guys that when he's got those eyes and he stares in the camera, dude, I am just stuck. Yeah, dude. Yeah, right. He's gold.
Yeah.
I don't know if I see a comparison there, Shane, if I'm being honest with you, brother. I don't know if I see a comparison, but I think Jay is just on the cusp of now, this is the same. I'm all over the place. This is the same company that gave the belt to Kofi and said, there you go. And we all said, oh my God, they gave it to Kofi. This is amazing. And then Brock Lesnar comes along and did his Brock Smash thing and ate him for dinner, and it's over. And we never ever went back to it. So how excited should I be for Jay right now, man? Should I temper my enthusiasm?
I was saying, you don't want to put too much stock into it unless it comes to, in case it comes to kind of a crashing halt. I think a lot of people did that with Kofi. It seemed like they had the idea, let's put the belt on him. Past that, they had no plans and they didn't know what to do. Oh, suddenly Brock's back. Okay, squash him, take the belt. I don't think it's the same with this. There's clearly like a huge investment in this storyline, and there's a lot still to look forward to. Part of me wishes a little bit that they held off maybe a touch longer before Jay finally turned and joined, and they'd longed it out for a little bit. But I'm glad it's happening, because this is the best thing in WWE at the moment, or at least on Raw and SmackDown storyline wise.
I agree. The whole Roman thing is the highlight of what they're doing right now. I mean, that's undoubtedly true. Sandy says, I can't wait for the Samoan faction with Roman and his brother Jimmy. So, dude, my feelings on this. I've made it clear. I'm not anti-Samoan faction. I love the idea on the face of it. I just felt like Roman and Paul have been together for 10 minutes, and let's throw 5 people to them. I don't know. And plus, that opens the door for Nia Jax, who I don't want to see a part of this, if I'm being honest.
To me, maybe. Yeah. And she's a much better fit, but she was the Usos manager in NXT, I think, like when they first came up.
Very true. And on the main roster, yeah, she was with them. Dude, I forgot all about that. But yeah, I mean, that might work, but I don't know. I need a lot more of this first. And if you want to talk to me about it in January, let's talk about it in January. But I don't want to talk about that. I want it to mature and evolve over time. Don't just throw them there because Jay's there now. You know?
I'll tell you one guy who I'd like to see in there, Jacob Fatu.
Oh, I love that guy, dude. Are you kidding me? MLW should count their blessings that they have him on board. And I enjoy the MLW product. I'm not in love with it, but I watch it whenever they're, back to full strength. But yeah, dude, he's one of the biggest, and you can tell the big star out of the crowd. He's one of the biggest they have,
Absolutely. I saw him in January in Texas when I was there for the Rumble this year. Nice. And we saw like a small indie show, and he was there, and was just like, man, this guy's incredible. So good. Just the way he moves. Reminds me, obviously, like similarities between him and Umaga. But yeah, it's just awesome to watch.
I think he does Umaga better than Umaga did Umaga. I know what they were going for with him. I totally get it. But at the time, I'm like, yeah, Vince is going to take the Samoan and strip him barefoot and make him a savage. Of course he is. I mean,
of course he is. Like,
if the family was okay with it, what's the white guy's problem, right? I get it, but I was kind of like, that's all you got. That's what he's gonna do. I don't know. I would love to have seen him break character at some point in the middle of that run and just look at someone and say, "You think I won't mess you up? Do you think I won't destroy you?" And just to let the crowd know, oh my God, it's mind games. He's like an Undertaker kind of thing. I would have loved to have seen that. I love the guy. I'm just saying it was kind of an odd balance for me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Toby says this is building up to Rock versus. So a lot of talk is about Rock versus Roman. A lot of that's going to depend on on Rock's movie schedule. I don't know. He's never publicly committed to anything, so we'll see what happens. But how do you feel about a Rock Roman main event, especially with not a full capacity crowd there?
Yeah. Mixed feelings. Like I'm not against seeing it. I think it'd be cool. The title doesn't need to be involved in that. If it happens, the title doesn't need to be involved in that. That needs to be elsewhere, preferably on Big E, but that's another conversation.
Yes.
But if it happens, yeah, no title needs to be involved in that. But like you say, a lot of it is very much down to The Rock's kind of Dwayne Rock, whatever, his filming schedule. And I know a couple of years ago picked up some sort of injury as a result of an in-ring appearance. And then that halted the filming of whatever movie he was involved in at the time. But then after that, like film companies and producers and stuff were putting these things in contracts. Like basically, while you're filming, you're not wrestling because that halts production. So be lucky to get out of to get out of any kind of film contract to go and wrestle. And there was talk, I think even this week, he was saying about potentially wanting to reboot the Scorpion King film that he featured in. So if that's the case and he's starting to film that next year, there's no way he's getting into a ring. So we'll see. I may end up eating my words.
And I could be wrong about this bit. Maybe I am. But it seems like in Rock versus Cena Part 2, when Cena came off the top rope with that leg drop to the back of the head, I think that may have been what did it, because it seemed like Rock tore his abdomen. And I don't want to get this wrong, but that's in my head for some reason. And I think because I know he was injured.
Right. Yeah,
that sounds
I think
familiar.
Right.
So Jim says, I think Jay can be a solid upper mid card IC title contender. It's just good to see different talent going or getting an opportunity. It's a much needed breath of fresh air. Absolutely 100% agree. They don't do it enough. So on the same note, and we can segue into this, Roman reigns supreme because he does, because oh my God. And someone in the chat just mentioned Daniel Bryan. I'm going to tell you something. It's so funny how this stuff plays out, because I remember a time when Roman was booed off the planets because they wanted Daniel. And now it's circled back around to Roman's the hottest thing they have, and Daniel's kind of the odd man out.
Yeah.
And through no fault of either one of these guys, it's just how they're booked. But, you know, such an interesting dichotomy now. And if they were smart, which I don't know if they'll lead with this, I think they could turn Daniel, I don't know about turn him heel, but I think you could play off that history, which I know they've done it before, but it seems like there's some stuff untapped here between, well, I should have been the guy and you stole it from me and now I'm going to steal it back from you. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Like, no one would have said a year ago Roman Reigns is going to be like the most watched person like on the roster at the moment, and Daniel Bryan would be an afterthought.
Right.
Which is what that feels like at the moment. And it's crazy the way things work, but it's the most compelling thing on TV at the moment. It'll be interesting, obviously, you know, going forward, Bryan's going to be the next opponent, but it'll be interesting to see how they play that out, because like you said, I think there's a lot of untapped stuff there that they could really draw on, like they have done with Roman and Jay. Everyone knows, obviously, they're cousins and they grew up together, but they'd never really started to weave that into storyline until now. So it's not that they can't do it and tap into this other stuff that's there. And by all means, they should do, because it's making for some really good viewing. Yeah,
you're right. And Daniel's so good. And I hate to always get in that conversation about, well, this guy should go to WWE, that guy should, or AEW. But I would love to see freaking Daniel in AEW. I mean, you know, if this were a normal year with full crowds and everything, I mean, the touring schedule's a lot lighter for them. And you know, they take care of their talent a lot more than WWE does. You know, I don't know. That's me hoping and wishing, but Daniel's just so good. And even when he's done, he's got so much to offer behind the scenes.
Yeah,
so talented, he's so smart.
Working behind the scenes at the moment, isn't he? Like producer, writer, or whatever in some capacity. And I know recently on Talking Smack, he said that this was going to be his last run. So you'd imagine he's going to kind of fade into the background as a backstage kind of writer producer, like Edge is over on Raw. I know he's doing like a lot of stuff there. So
it kills me, because I feel like I just go back to that the Yes movement that year and how hot that was, and how people at other sporting events were chanting yes. And I'm like, how can you not see this guy needs to be on your TV? And meanwhile, they had that big spot that night with everybody in the ring. The crowd's doing this, and Daniel's just kind of smiling and laughing. And John's like, there's your guy, you know.
I had friends that don't even watch wrestling that had heard about that and knew what it was and would do yes. And there's only a handful of occasions where stuff like that kind of translates over to a wider audience that isn't wrestling. I remember Fandango's song, his theme tune when he came in, that got massive, went into the music charts over here in the UK. And there's sometimes these little like kind of lightning in a bottle moments, things where they just transcend wrestling. And Daniel Bryan's Yes Movement thing was one of those. It was huge.
I mean, I've compared him to Austin. I've compared him to Punk because they weren't supposed to be where they were. They weren't supposed to be hits. They weren't supposed to be favorites. They weren't supposed to be top guys. And the crowd said, that's who I want. Forget these clowns. That's who I want. I'm going to chant his name till you give him to me, which is what they were forced to do. So,
and for once, they listened.
Yes, for once. Douglas says Randy Orton versus John Cena at WrestleMania 37 for the title, and Cena wins number 17. It's a different topic. I don't care to see, and I like John a lot, but I don't care to see him win 17. I think Orton's going to get it before John will.
Yeah.
So, and I think that Orton's ties with Flair make it all the more fitting. And dude, Rick loves John as well, and I don't think Flair would have a problem with it. But I would, because I'm the old school territory fan, and my God, leave that number alone for goodness sake. So let me hit on a couple more here. Toby says, knowing that Roman isn't dropping the belt, at least until Mania, his next few opponents are pointless. Well, that's the key, isn't it? Making the next challengers seem like it's worth your time and investment, and to watch and to be, absorbed into it with kind of knowing he's not going to drop the title. That's the challenge for that company, for any company, to keep you hooked. The question is, can they do it though? Who can they throw up there against him that would make you tune in and go, oh, well, maybe they could go this way? Is there anybody they could throw up there against him?
The thing is, like, everyone said that beforehand when we were like, right, who's Roman's opponent going to be? And suddenly Jey Uso, and you're like, Jey Uso, he's a tag team guy. He's not a singles guy. All of a sudden he's got a universal title shot. And no one gave that the time of day. And now look what we're talking about. Now look what everyone's talking about and what's the best thing to watch on there. So, yeah, it may be, okay, he's not going to drop the belt to Mania. Yes, every opponent may be pointless because they're not going to take the title off him. You can still make that a really engrossing storyline and really engaging. Everyone knew that Jey wasn't going to take the title off him, but look what they've done.
And honestly, let's be fair about it. You could make this statement about any title in any company. Why would I care about so-and-so if it's a dominant champion? Why would I? But again, I think that's where the smart, cocky, arrogant, smarmy heel like MJF, I think there's more drama there because you just want him to lose it so badly. Yeah, Roman's getting all this respect from people who hate his guts and saying, oh, this guy's the best ever. He's so great at what he's doing. And so you kind of don't want to see him lose it. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of right there too. So we're going to go to the red brand now, kids. 3 Raw takeaways of the week. Here's my first one. Ricochet versus Mustafa Ali. More of this because, again, as I said before, take the governor off for God's sake. All right. And when they do, what happens? Boom, you get magic. I'm not going to get too excited about this because it's one night, one show, because they've not proven to me they know anything about what to do with Ricochet. They've given Mustafa Ali this loser faction, this freaking terrible faction. And I'm going to find the button, God bless it, because I have to find the button. Bear with me when I find the button. What is it?
Hot garbage.
Yeah. I love that so much.
Me too.
Yeah, the whole retribution thing. And I love Ali. I freaking love Ali. But it's almost like, hey, pal, you want this group? Okay.
You've got nothing else to do.
All you've been doing is jobbing. Here's this group, pal. They suck. And he's like, all right, I'll take it. What else are you going to do?
You don't have to job on your own anymore. You can job with these guys.
Right. So talk to me about this match, man. Were you surprised when they went longer than 30 seconds? Were you like, oh my God, are we doing this? Is everyone watching? Are we doing this?
Yeah.
It was a shocker to me, man.
This was awesome. This was so good. And like you say, I was shocked that it wasn't just over in 30 seconds and it wasn't just through like tomfoolery to pun. But
yes.
Coming into the ring and doing the usual shtick of just, okay, caused by DQ, like throw the match out and actually giving these guys time because we know they're both superb. Like everyone knows how good Ricochet is. He hasn't had much of a chance to show that so far. Certainly in NXT was awesome and everything he's done before that speaks for itself. Ali we saw in kind of like spurts and stuff when he first kind of appeared and he was on SmackDown and everyone was like, take notice of this guy. And, you know, he was originally kind of in line for that push when he then got injured and the whole like elimination chamber and everything. So we know that both guys are awesome, but given everything that Mustafa Ali's been lumbered with, lumbered with recently with Retribution, I don't think initially anyone gave it the time of day and thought this is going to be out like within seconds. But this is super, really, really, really good. More of this, as you say.
It reminds me of what Punk said many moons ago when he talked about, he said he was talking to Rusev behind the curtain before that Royal Rumble that year. And he said, he told him, you know, look around. None of these guys care about you. They don't care about your push. They hope you fail so they can take your spot. They want you out of here. Everyone wants you out of here. They want each other out of here. When you're on camera, you have to make the most of your time. You have to maximize your minutes and make an impact. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, those words popped into my head when I watched this match. I'm like, these guys looked at each other and said, screw it. Let's just go. Let's tear the roof off this place.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to make the most of the time you have on camera.
Exactly. That could be their last chance to do anything for a while. Neither one of them may get any TV time for a matter of weeks or months. So
yes, this could be it. This could be it till 2021. Who knows?
Exactly.
This is my buddy I was telling you about. This is Nathan. This show is so much more sophisticated with a British accent.
Why, thank you.
Nathan's my producer, so I don't know if I should take that as a compliment or a negative. What is that? What's that about? That's good stuff. Let's see. Reggie says they need to put the Raw Tag Team belts on the Hurt Business.
Yes.
I like the faction, but for some reason I don't love the faction, and I don't know why I don't love them. Like I totally should love them, but I don't know. It feels like you know what? I guess it's missing a reaction. I guess it's missing the fans oohing and awing. Maybe that's what's a hang up for me. Maybe I should get over that because it's not going to change anytime soon. But on the face of it, I love that they're all getting a shot, especially Cedric, because I've been in Cedric's corner since the freaking Cruiserweight Classic because I think he deserved it. Plus, I've seen Cedric wrestle. I saw Cedric wrestle for Evolve and for another company here in North Carolina. So, by the way, we didn't bother telling anyone where in the world you are. By the way, folks, if you're just tuning in and you're like, who's the cat with Tom today? This is Mr. Troy Grant of the Untitled Wrestling Podcast. And Troy, tell everyone where you are in the world today, because I didn't even pitch that to you.
I'm currently sat in my front bedroom office in Coventry in the Midlands in England. So pretty much dead center of the country, dead center of England.
Yeah, I was thinking that there was an accent there. I was thinking Alabama maybe or something like that, but I couldn't quite place it. So.
My mum lives in Birmingham, and that's just up the road.
Shut up. Well, there you go. See? My joke kind of made sense, folks. How you like that?
It's a very different accent in Birmingham here.
You know, off topic, is that a thing? Like if you drive an hour one way, drive an hour another way, is there a difference for sure?
Absolutely. Yeah, you can drive 30 minutes that way and be in Leicester, and it's a totally different accent. You can drive 30 minutes that way and be in Birmingham, completely different. You can even go to parts of Birmingham, and there's subtle changes in the dialect within a city. So, yeah, it's considering in the grand scheme of things how small this country is to say the States, the difference in accents is vast.
Oh, brother, we've got them here too, trust me. So, I'm in the South. I'm in North Carolina, and I've lived here my whole life, and I have done everything in my power to erase what country I have, because I'm surrounded by people, man, that God bless them sound like this all the time. And not that hey, listen, man, not that they're bad people, but that accent never really has a positive connotation. No disrespect to any of the people watching. If you sound like that and you're watching my show, you're different. You're good people, and thank you for watching. So
people say the same about Birmingham here, so I'm with you.
Really? Well, there you go.
I've tried hard to get that accent out of me. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Again, no disrespect to anyone, but I just feel like I want to sound a little bit more like this. Do you know what I mean? So Ryan says, "What do you think about the new Nia Jax injuring someone else? I didn't think it was her fault this time. I can't not blame Nia Jax when someone's hurt within 2 feet of her. I can't. I'm sorry. That's how I feel. I just, this is the part of the show where I always say, I don't mean this personally, and I don't. But Nia's in that company because of her family. It's how I feel. I don't. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't know what they think they see in her. Dude, you can just watch how she throws someone. Okay. You can tell there's no effort there to protect that person's fall. There has to be a visible effort, and there's none. There's zero. She just throws them. And I'm like, God, was she never trained? Like, I don't want to get off on that, but good Lord.
To touch on that very briefly and not get too stuck on that.
Yes.
Again, this was something me and the guys on podcast were discussing last night, that she's not, in my opinion, she's not terrible. She was called up too early. I think she could have done another year in NXT for definite. And yes, she's a big girl. She's the most imposing woman on the women's roster. And it's a case of one of those, you don't know your own strength. But I think had that extra year in NXT and that extra tutelage would have kind of started to iron out some of those things. But now it's just happening regularly and injuries here and there. However, this Monday on Raw, I don't think that was her fault at all. I think Mandy just didn't get out the ropes properly, and she got herself caught up in there. Like, yes, it may have been a little aggressive in the way that Nia threw her in, but ultimately, how she goes through the ropes is down to her and not Nia, in my opinion.
Well, and honestly, it's not up to Nia to throw her through the ropes. It's up to Nia to make it look as though she's throwing her through the ropes. So if she had any oomph on that arm, that was on her. I don't know that she did. It looked like she did, but if I'm going to give somebody all fair credit, I'll say maybe she didn't. And you're right, Mandy just didn't. And let's be honest, Mandy's not the best worker I've ever seen either. So combination. And to your point, WCW took Goldberg off the air after the first few months he was on TV because he was legit hurting people. Because like you said, he was so strong, he didn't realize he was even doing it. And they're like, oh my God, get him off TV for he kills someone. They sent him back to the power plant and then brought him back after however many months it was. And then he was not great, but better, so. That's
the thing. I don't think there's any malice in some of these injuries that happen. Like, it's part and parcel of the industry in, it's nature of the beast and all of that. So there's no malice behind it, but equally she just needs to be aware.
No, I don't think, there's no malice. That's a great point. Like, I don't think she's thinking, I'm going to get myself fired today. This will be fun. Let's kill somebody. But no, I don't think there's any of that going on. I think that she's just, it's a combination of a lot of things. Aaron says, yes, bad. Let's see what else we got here. Ray says, why is Lana taking several beatdowns every week? Well, if you believe in the conspiracy theorists out there, Ray, you could say it's because of her husband. So, you're going to leave me, pal, and go talk crap about me? Where's your wife? Let's put her through a table. Whole bunch of them. I don't know if I buy that. I think they're trying to get her over, but I know I'm not buying that. I'm not buying her at all. But I'll move on.
I'll call that now.
100%. Randy Orton is on his game. There's my second takeaway because, buddy, he is so good. Like, he doesn't get enough credit, not from a lot of people, but just that spot in the ring when he's talking down Miz, talking about I remember when they kicked you out of the locker room. I wish they'd never let you back in. I'm like, by the way, this coming from Randy Orton,
Yeah.
But man, the difference between Randy. All right. So you got Randy, you got Cody Rhodes, you've got, maybe, I guess you could say Roman. You've got some guys that when they talk, you believe it. It's not, they're being fed a line. Miz, all due respect. Yeah. Miz, all due respect, it feels like he's reading something that's been rehearsed. And that's not fair because I know he's putting forth maximum effort. You can tell. But when Randy talks, I know he didn't just read that. I mean, that's from him. I think it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, he's superb. I thought for a while that they just lost interest in what they wanted to do with him until this came about, until basically the whole him and Edge sort of happened and he started to get that kind of killer edge again and then going into the feud with Drew. But before that, I remember a couple of years ago and he was involved in the whole thing with the Wyatt family and it was just like, and they had that match where they had the projection on the ring and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm not buying this. Like and after that, they've just lost interest in him and I'm not buying into anything he does anymore. But this has absolutely captivated me and reignited in my mind how good he is, and I forgot how good he is.
Yeah.
When he wants to be like, that makes him sound lazy, and it's not, but there's certain like nuances and stuff in the ring that he does that make you go, he gets it, and he's enjoying this, and you can see it, and it comes across, and we're getting that at the moment, and it's really, really good.
It is. And I interviewed Orton a couple years ago during the whole Wyatt thing, and he spoke very highly of them, spoke highly of Harper and Rowan, and apparently had fun doing it. So, I mean, sometimes I think that bit gets lost on us. Like, I know it does on me sometimes, and I try to remind myself, but you're looking at it through a different prism. You're not looking at it from their side, where it's like they're able to say, yeah, but now I can just be one of the guys and have fun and help teach a little bit and just enjoy myself, which I think is what he was doing.
Yeah.
Third takeaway from Raw, and I'm sorry, it's how I feel. The Raw Women's Division.
Hot garbage.
I'm sorry. And again, and I always say there was no disrespect because I don't mean anything personal. I don't mention wrestlers' real names and whatnot because it's not, I don't know most of these folks personally, I don't know. So it's never meant to be personal. But in terms of booking and character and what they can do in the ring, or maybe what they're limited to, there's where all my criticism comes from. And I don't, you and I started talking about this before we went live today, man. What happened? They were so on point. And don't anybody tell me, well, Tom, it was Ronda Rousey. No, it wasn't. Stop. This thing started before they got Ronda. Okay. They were on the way up. So I'm not going to lay it at Ronda's door that she was the end all be all. But dude, things have gone progressively downhill. What is going on with this division and this company?
I don't know. That's the $1 million question. I really don't know. And we were saying earlier, like, I don't see how there's such a disconnect between what they do with their women on NXT and then how they present them on Raw. And it's like you say, like it's no disrespect. It's no disrespect to the women on that roster because they are all talented. Like they all do have something for one reason or another, and that's why they were brought there. But just why there's no investment to show that off, and why we're just getting the same garbage each and every week. Like I'm not invested in this women's Survivor, certainly for Raw, like the women's Survivor Series team. I don't see the point of it. I'm just, and there's so many women there that would be more deserving in that Survivor Series team to showcase them a bit more, and that's what it should be for me.
Yeah.
Then you've got like these, and there was something I read earlier on in like news this week, these kind of phantom call-ups where it's like, this woman's coming up from NXT, and then we don't see or hear from them, and it's like, well, where are they? Because like you need as many women in that division as you can get, because the ones in there at the moment you're doing nothing with, and it's baffling. It really, really is.
And honestly, if you're on NXT brand, why in the world would you want to go to Raw except for better money? What in the world would make you want to jump into that nonsense where they obviously, like you said, the word disconnect a couple of times. It's so apt. Like there's such a disconnect. How can this be the same company that I don't know. I don't get it. Like you said, there's no investment. I don't care about any of it. Larry hits it on the head. Becky Lynch is missed. She is for them what Randy Orton is for the men. She just speaks, and you're like, I believe everything she says. It doesn't feel rehearsed. It doesn't feel like an act. Yeah. When she gets behind the curtain, she's not suddenly laughing and being Miss Priss. No, that's who she is. And man, she's definitely missed.
There's apparently a bit of a rush for her to be brought back like fairly soon. I mean, she's due to give birth like next month, but apparently word going around is that they want her back and ready in time for something to do with WrestleMania, whether that's in ring or what. But yeah, she is missed massively, and like you say, she's the women's division equivalent of Randy, where you just believe absolutely everything. And I didn't realize how much I would miss her and how much the women's division as a whole would miss her until now.
Let her host it. Let her host Mania. That's what I say.
Yeah.
That way she doesn't have to get physical or anything, and she can just be on the mic and maybe get a little bit of heat with somebody and say, I'm not back yet, but I'll be back. So you better watch how you talk to me. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Love that.
Nathan says, breaking up the Iconics led to misery. He's a huge Oh my God, set him straight for me, Troy, because this is a great friend of mine. I have to deal with this all the time. So,
Do you know what? I was disappointed they broke up the Iconics. I actually loved them. I thought they were cool.
You were supposed to be on my side here. What happened, man? Come on.
That kind of bratty, like high school goody two shoes thing. They did it so well, and they were so entertaining at what they did. And in a non-existent women's tag division where they're struggling to find actual tag teams, where they're not just cobbling two randomers together, they were one of very, very few genuine actual tag teams. And why split them up? It's mad. So I'm with you, man, on that.
Well, Nathan, thanks, Nathan. You see what you've done to my show? You see what happened? I hope you're happy. So Douglas Duke says, heard Ronda Rousey coming back, but not full-time, but probably back at WrestleMania. I still submit they don't need her. If they get the booking right, and, the whole Ronda thing is a whole different podcast, man. But, like, I would hope that it's wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more situation with her, where she's on Twitter and she's already messaged somebody and they're like, look, just go on Twitter and start some crap. It's totally cool. And she's like, right, good, let's do it. Yeah.
Get your ladle out.
But then if you believe what some of the guys in WWE are saying, some of these people claim that no, they didn't know she was going to do that. So it's like, all right, let's venture off to speculation land. If she is going into business for herself, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you at least text someone and say, are you cool if I just want to do some heel stuff? Is that good with everybody? Whether, I don't know who she would have texted. Who knows? Maybe somebody's names that we don't even know behind the scenes in that company. They gave her the green light and said, look, Vince said it's cool. Do your thing. I would hope that happened. But if it did not happen, then I could see where it would rub some people the wrong way. And they should know better because, like you said, she's just stirring a pot. Yeah. But, there's a lot of egos in wrestling. And trust me, I've been in plenty of locker rooms. There's a lot of ego in wrestling. And it's like, just when you think that, well, no, is he good? No, he's good, brother. He's good. He's down. He's not down because he got ticked at what you said last week because you told somebody on Twitter. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I stand on her, man. I still don't think they need her. Do you think they do?
No. In a word, without going too much into it, no.
All right. Yeah, I don't think they do. Let's if I get my words out, let's click to some ratings here, kids. We always throw the ratings up so everyone can have a look at them. This week's SmackDown, strong show, 2.315 compared to last week's 2.13. Raw, basically a wash, not up much from last week. Do ratings, we're going to throw up the AEW NXT ratings here in a bit. Do ratings mean anything to you at all? Do you care about them? Do they make you raise an eyebrow? Do you just take them in stride? Do they mean anything to you?
Not really, no. A lot of people get like caught up on ratings and stuff, and I hear it every week, like, oh, AEW beat NXT again. It's like, just enjoy the fact that you've got two different wrestling products to watch. It doesn't matter how many people are watching it. If you enjoy it, you enjoy it. If you don't, you don't. Like, numbers only really matter to the people that are making money off it, in my opinion. And I'm not making money off it. I'm just here to enjoy it.
That's a great point. I love the way you put that. So, and by the way, add up the total number of viewers from both those shows, and that should be something to celebrate, that there's still that many people who were invested enough to watch either show. Mm-hmm. So we touched on, we've had a bunch of AEW questions, kids, and I was trying to be patient here. Let's go ahead and we'll rapid fire hit some AEW Full Gear results, and we'll circle back and talk a little bit about it. Serena Deeb defeated Allison Kay, in which I thought should have been on the main card. Better than women's match that we got. Kenny Omega defeated Hangman Page in the opener, which was a barn burner. Orange Cassidy defeated John Silver, which we all kind of saw coming. Darby Allin is your new TNT champion, which I thought was very apropos. It made a lot of sense. Hikaru Shida defeated Nyla Rose in a tough match to watch, if I'm being totally honest. Young Bucks defeated FTR to finally become AEW World Tag Team Champions in a match that was many people are calling Match of the Year candidate. Matt Hardy defeated Sammy Guevara. Can't say that without smiling because I just love Matt to death, and I love the deletion stuff. MJF defeated Chris Jericho, is now part of the Inner Circle, and of course, still your AEW World Heavyweight Champion in one of the best feuds of the year against Eddie Kingston. So now that we've hit everything rapid fire, you enjoyed the show. Give me what you thought were your highlights of this show.
I love the Elite deletion. Like, I'm a sucker for those sorts of things, and it's always a lot of fun. Like Matt Hardy's a ridiculously creative guy when it comes to stuff like that. It was just really amusing to watch the whole stuff of like Shane Helms and him going in the water, coming back out all dressed up. I'm not gonna lie, like I popped like a child when I saw Gangrel. Like,
I love Gangrel too. Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. Obviously, Bucks and FTR was just unreal. Flawless. I thought it was going to be good. I didn't think it was going to be that good. Yeah, and rightly said, easily a match of the year candidate. Yeah, it was outstanding. And then Mox and Kingston as well. Really, really good. Bit tough to watch at times, but it was to be expected. Like I wouldn't have expected that to just be a gloss over kind of standard thing. So yeah, really, really good. They're probably 3 standouts for me.
Man, talk about getting emotionally invested in this stuff. This is how I know I'm still a fan, is I watched the promo last week with Kingston when he turned his back on John and he had tears in his eyes, and I got emotional for some weird reason. I'm like, why is this making me emotional? But because I'm going to do it now. I could see it in him, and I could see, God, he feels this. Like I just want them to feel it. I want them to be able to feel it without saying, well, listen, here's what you got to read. Be sure she reads it. Did she read it? But here's the lines. Don't get the word right. Be sure you read this. If they don't feel it, you won't feel it. And I feel everything Eddie does. And earlier when I was talking about believing people when they talk, I left John off that list. My apologies to Mox, because he is fantastic. I mean, feud of the year, I think.
Yeah, there's very few wrestlers, characters, gimmicks, or whatever that are that connecting tissue, if you like, between the audience and everything you see. And if you see it in their eyes, how much they're invested and how much they're buying into it, you buy into it 100%. And this is absolutely proof of that. This is really, really, really good. Yes,
absolutely. And Mox has just bloomed like a flower, man. I knew he was going to do good work. But dude, when he stepped into New Japan, I'm like, oh my God, where's this guy been hiding? This is fantastic. Like, and you know, he's got to be the most liberated guy ever. Like, at least, you know, like, again, I keep repeating myself, take the governor off and see what he can do. And that's, you know,
proof is in the pudding.
Yes, screw Dean Ambrose. That thing's dead and buried for me. This is John Moxley. This is what he is. I mean, couldn't be better. Aaron says Kenny, then he's losing to Hangman. Kenny, then he's losing. Well,
I think that was in reference to something before. Yeah.
I get you. So, great match. We knew it would be. I'm glad it kicked off the show. Hangman is a star. My God, he's a star. I think at some point, if I'm being picky, I think the booze is going to have to go away. I mean, I know they're edgier than WWE. I get it, but you know, there's still kids watching, and not that you have to be the moral compass for kids. That is a pro wrestling show. I get it. But if he's a top baby face, and he is, maybe don't have him drinking all the freaking time. Like he ran out to the ring last week with a glass and never spilled one drop, and is breaking people up with the other hand. Oh, hang on, what's going on? And I'm like, dude, you're still holding the cup.
That's commitment.
Right? Yeah.
I know what you mean. It doesn't need to be. You can get that across. It doesn't need to be as forced. It doesn't need to be as on the nose. And yeah, like you say, if you're trying to get someone over as the baby face, maybe hold off on that a little bit. Maybe have him drink, I don't know, like a slush puppy every now and then, just to mix it.
Right. And honestly, I think we're going to circle back around to Paige taking the title from Omega, because I don't want to see John lose it, but if John's going to lose it, he'll lose it to Omega, I believe. Yeah. I don't know if it'll be on the first shot. It might be on the comeback, the rematch, maybe. I don't know. But Jamel says, I think the boozing going away is part of the storyline. Well, you know what? Maybe they will work that in. Maybe, again, it'll be someone gets in Paige's, which it should have happened on this last Dynamite, someone getting Paige's face and saying, look at you. You know why you didn't win? This is why you didn't win. And point to the alcohol and say, it's time to, moderation, man. I don't know. You would think that would play into it. And let's never forget, kids, Tony Stark was an alcoholic at one time. So there's still hope for Hangman Page. I'm just saying. So there's still hope for him. Let's see. Timothy says is going to leave the inner circle. So we can talk a little bit about inner circle here. What's your take on the MJF thing? Because listen, I was one of the guys saying, well, he's going to take over and they're all going to turn on Chris. If you listen to Chris Jericho's podcast, he'll have inner circle guys on his show. This is not a gimmick for them. This is a brotherhood. They take this thing very seriously. This is, I can't say the words horseman because nobody compares the horseman, but they take it that seriously in terms of, hey, we didn't have anything in common, but now we do. We're brothers. We're have each other's backs, unless that's a work, and it could be. But I mean, it feels like they're not going to split up anytime soon. So what do you make of the MJF part of this?
I'll be honest, I was surprised that he won. But now that he's in there, it opens up for some interesting storylines going ahead. And like you say, we don't know if it's a work or not. I mean, with the kind of the original Inner Circle guys, there's clearly like a really strong bond there in and out of the ring. And that's very, very apparent. I think they've got like an incredible heel there in MJF. And if anyone's going to be in there and kind of sow the seeds for destruction and mutiny, if you like, it's going to be him. And if they go that way, the way they do it is going to be really, really interesting to see how it unfolds, because the Inner Circle has some extremely good kind of comedy moments. And I think MJF can really, really play into that, and Wardlow as well. And I think that's going to be really fun to watch. Obviously him and Hager, there's that kind of, well, we're the enforcer of kind of our respective men, and there's going to be some friction there. So it's going to be really fun to see how that plays out. That's all I got on that.
There's a great, and I should have thought to bring this up on the show, but there's a great pic, and I think it's on MJF's Twitter, and they're all posing with the tickets to Vegas.
I've seen it.
Half the group is frowning, the other half, and he's like way over the top with his smile. So is Jericho, and I'm like
a kid at Disneyland.
Oh my god, it's so good. And like Sammy's, he's not too sure, and Santana's okay with it, and Ortiz is frowning,
but then
Wardlow and
Wardlow in the back, just like
yeah, they're looking at each other. Yeah, they're looking at each other like, I'm watching you, guy. You know, I love that stuff. It's great.
So good.
Let's hit a few things from NXT before we take it home today. Rhea Ripley versus Io Shirai next week. Rhea Ripley continues to be one of the most underused, undervalued talents. Forget female talents that company has. How she's not a massive star selling all kinds of merch and killing it every week is beyond me. It's another example of how that company continues to get things wrong when it's so blatantly obvious. She's fantastic, and this match next week will steal the show.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Yeah, it's like we've spoken about it earlier as well, like how they get it so wrong. And as much as I want to see Rhea Ripley like main roster and taking on people like, you know, Asuka and this, that, and the other, I worry as soon as she goes up there, that will be it. And it's one of those, like, be careful what you wish for. But equally, like, as good as the NXT women's division is, like, unless she's going to hold the belt again, you can't have her just kind of floundering about, because she is a champion. Like, she's deserving of being the champion. She's absolutely, you know, incredible. So yeah, it's a weird one what they do with her. But in regards to next week's match, I'm really hyped for it. It's going to be awesome. Io Shirai is fantastic, so this should absolutely tear the house down.
I've been singing her praises for a while, and coming from somebody that works with a wrestling promotion, it's not just what they do when they do the moves. It's what are they doing in between the moves. Yeah. And when you do watch how she walks, look at her face, look at her body language. Yeah. She's dialed in. She's completely in the zone. And like, that's how you know you have a competent talent in the ring, that she is not oblivious, but she's tuned everyone else out. And she is completely in the moment, and I love that about it. Yeah. Yes, that's
saying the same like Randy Orton, where it's those, not even necessarily what he does in terms of moves and stuff like that, but it's the stuff in between, and those little nuances and those little bits that you pick up on and go, yeah, he's zoned everything out. This is all he's focused on, and we're getting the absolute best from this guy.
So there was I get my pop culture references. I cross them up all the time. So Charlie Murphy on the Chappelle Show.
Charlie Murphy.
I saw Charlie Murphy live doing stand-up, and he was freaking great. Gone way too soon, another story. But there was outtakes from Chappelle's Show when they were doing, I don't know what they called the bit, when they were all pimps dressed up and everything. And he's in the back of the car, and before they yelled action, he's just sitting there like this, and all of a sudden he starts getting into character and moving his head before they even yelled action. And they were all laughing like crazy at him, like, look, he's already getting into it before they even.
Yeah.
And that just reminded me of that. Like, yes, like being committed to it and saying, well, right, let's do this. Let me get into it. So I don't know why that popped into my head. I know why this popped into my head, because every week I have to say the guy's name because it's Cameron Grimes. I love it.
Yes.
He should not be on TV because he's ridiculous. No. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying he shouldn't be getting popular because he's ridiculous. He should never work for Vince because he's ridiculous. But this is why it works, because he's ridiculous. He's awesome. Yeah. He's completely in his own world. And if he wasn't working for that company, he'd be working for somebody and making a splash because he's good.
He's so good.
He's so good, my God. And he's own little world, man.
Yeah, I found him irritating, and as I'm sure did everyone, and probably still does, found him really irritating. And what is this guy's shtick? But then absolutely just sort of fell in love with him. And this whole like snivelly little, just whiny kid that just sucks up to Regal when he wants to get his own way, or if he doesn't like something that's happened. He's incredibly talented. He's really, really good. But his whole gimmick, like I remember saying to some of the boys before, it reminded me a little bit, and you may disagree, but Jericho, when he first came to WWE, where he's just kind of, he thinks he's bigger than everything, and he's delusional. And that whole just like really loud and over the top and just being like, yeah. And that's a similar sort of vibe I get from him. But yeah, he's hilarious. He's really fun to watch every week.
That's a great callback. But yeah, he's, that's why it works, because he's in his own little world. Shannon, by the way, Shannon Larissa always waits for me to do that. And in fact, if I don't do it, she asks for it. So there you go. And plus, he's a Carolina boy. I gotta throw props to him. I mean, Braun Strowman's a Carolina boy too. Whole different topic. But I mean, I got to give props to Cameron Grimes. Cameron Grimes. See,
Cameron Grimes.
See, even you've got it. See, you can't do that without doing it. It's like mentioning Dusty Rhodes' name and immediately not trying to do a Dusty impression. You can't do it.
And failing miserably every time.
yes, because very few people can really pull it off.
Yeah.
Can't pull it off. So let's see. Last take I've got from NXT, because this is how I feel about this bit with Raquel Gonzalez attacking Boa. I got 2 words for you.
Hot garbage.
It makes me laugh every time, too. I can't help it. Here's why I don't care for it. Number one, she's still a hard sell for me. Talk about somebody that when she does stuff on TV, I go, oh, like I just constantly find myself doing a double take, like, oh, God, be careful. Please be careful. She went to pick him up, and I'm like, oh, please be careful. Please be careful.
That didn't look very nice.
No, it didn't. I don't know. I don't know where you fall on this. I'm not very men versus women. Yay, let's do this. I don't care for that. I got a 12-year-old son. I don't want him to see a woman getting beat up by a man. Now, my son's in the loop. I put him in the loop a long time ago because I didn't need my tiny child thinking it was okay for grown men to solve their problems with fists. So I pulled back the curtain years ago. He still enjoys it, but he knows they're actually trying to protect each other. Okay. But I honestly don't want to see a man punching a woman. I don't want him to see that. And I don't care to see it either. So if you're not going to do that, don't let the women throw the men around either. I think that's a double standard. Why are we doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? How do you feel about that?
I wasn't in agreement with this. Like, I'm really interested to see where the whole Boa and Xia Li story goes, and I could talk about that another time. But this particular bit here, I wasn't happy with it. I wasn't sold on it. And it hurts Boa. Like, if he comes back in a month, 2 months' time, and they're then trying to give him some sort of push or trying to put him into an angle or a story, whatever, and go, well, Raquel Gonzalez like threw you about like a rag doll. How are we meant to take you seriously?
Yeah. Sandy with a comment here. Xia Li has to be unstoppable when she is in NXT again. It does feel like they're setting up, and it's almost like a heel move where, you know, she's not confronting Gonzalez or something. I don't know where they're, as we said before we went live today, it's like they're experimenting with stuff they would ordinarily never do. Why are they playing it this way, man? Yeah.
Well, NXT should know better. They've at least got some crowd in attendance. Because you could argue, well,
Very true.
Raw and SmackDown are being experimental, and there's no crowd there. Well, NXT have got a crowd there, so they should know better. Like I say, I'm intrigued as to where that storyline with Bo is going. But Gonzalez attacking him, just like you say, whether it's entertainment purposes or not, it's not the sort of thing that should be kind of portrayed on TV, because young kids are susceptible and easily led astray and influenced and stuff. And to see that is just, it's a no from me.
Yeah, I don't get that. And, we talked a little about NXT. Go back and watch some of Candice LeRae's matches before NXT, and my God in heaven.
Yeah.
She's getting color. She's getting color against men. I'm like, why? Like, I can't watch it. It fries my brain. I can't. We'll end that bit with this week, AEW 717 versus last week's 781. Also NXT 610, down from last week, but we we knew there would be a drop from last week. So there's your ratings, kids. Here comes I don't know about everyone's favorite part. I think everyone's favorite part's the hot garbage. So
of course,
it's my favorite part. We've been having a bunch of comments flip flop and fly up and down through here. So give us some open floor stuff, folks. What do you got for us? Shannon says, what was the point of taking the North American Championship off of Damian Priest to give it to Gargano, for Gargano to drop it to a jobber? What's your take on that?
I was incredibly surprised. It doesn't make too much sense, but saying that if they were going to give it to Leon Ruff, then they're not going to have him take it off Priest. It doesn't make sense that he takes it off Priest. It makes sense that he takes it off Gargano because it plays into his whole cursed losing on his first defense. And they're also, although Leon Ruff's still considered to be smaller than Gargano, it's more of a matchup than him and Priest. So if they're going to take it off, if they're going to give the belt to Ruff rather, then it makes sense for it to come from Gargano. But yeah, the booking of that is a bit strange. Like several title changes within the space of like a fortnight. Yeah, it doesn't do much for the belt. If they were doing this all the time, then fine, it hurts the belt. This is the first time, I could be wrong, I remember where it feels like they've kind of hot shot the belt. But Leon Ruff's the guy that they've just brought in from Evolve, I believe. Was he part of that kind of...
I think so, yeah.
Little pool of people they brought through. So it's nice to see it on someone completely different.
Yeah.
But if their plan was to put it on him, a little while ago, why not just put it on him straight away? Right, go through this whole... I don't know. It's a weird one.
And Punishment March, or Damian Priest, I keep calling him that.
Punishment Martinez.
He's and I interviewed him before he got to NXT when he was still with Ring of Honor. It was before he dropped the TV title to. Now I'm blanking on his name. He dropped the TV title in Ring of Honor to Shane Taylor. That's it. Okay. Before that happened, he was all business, very, we don't worry about anybody else. We're just doing what we're doing in Ring of Honor, that kind of thing. So he's going to be fine with whatever is run his way, as I'm sure Gargano is. And, if nothing else, it does flip it up, change it up, do a little something a little bit different. I agree the booking seems silly, but at least it's keeping it fresh, maybe you could say. Sandy, I think you've hit me with this already, but we never got to. Jordan Devlin. And I'm a huge Jordan Devlin guy. I am.
You both.
Yeah, versus Santos Escobar, undisputed NXT Cruiserweight Championship. Yeah. I don't have the latest on Devlin. I don't have the latest as to why Devlin has never been featured as the top star of the NXT UK brand. That escapes me. I don't get that. I don't. It blows my mind how he's not. I mean, go watch OTT and listen to that. And I know it's night and day. I get it. It's a different country, different vibe. He's the hometown boy. I totally get it. But God, dude, that crowd in that little building, Jesus. Yeah. I mean, it gives me just cold chills every time I watch it.
Yeah.
And chanting Devils. He is so good, isn't he?
I saw him win the Cruiserweight title this year at the Worlds Collide. I was there to watch it. And that was insane because going in, he would have been the last person I'd have chosen out of those guys in that match to win it. And then watched it and was like, oh, okay, that surprised me. They put the belt on him. What's he done before NXT? And then was shown the OTT stuff and was like, okay, this guy needs to be taken seriously. He's really insanely good. there was a video sort of package vignette a couple of weeks ago on NXT UK, which was absolutely superb and just absolute kind of like malice and determination and confidence in this promo that he did. It's so good. Just basically saying, I'm the true champion. If you want it, you know where I am. Like, come over here and take it from me. Like, nothing else. No one else that holds a belt holds a torch to me in this. It's so good.
And referencing his work before NXT UK, his program with Walter, dude. There's two video packages on YouTube, and they are phenomenal. They're two of the best video packages outside of the two major companies that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I don't know the cat's name that faced Walter in that match, but he's bruised from his neck all the way down his chest from the chops.
Oh,
and Jordan,
the one last week, or the one in OTT?
Is that in the package last week also?
I can't remember. No, I don't think it was. No.
Oh, you're talking about the match that Walter just had with Dragunov.
Yeah.
But in this video package, it's in OTT, and Walter worked somebody, and the kid was, legit bruised. All the way up and down. Just after the match, he's out of breath, and Devlin's talking to him backstage, and then the camera catches Devlin just turn away and just like he's thinking, "What have I gotten myself into?" And it's that little moment that I'm like, "Oh my God, that's gold!" And they compared him to Tyson, and they compared him to, nothing prepared me for how hard Tyson was going to hit. And I'm like, why can't they tell these stories? I don't get it. With some of the great storytelling that WWE is capable of.
Yeah.
I don't understand why we can't introduce that.
Yeah.
So let's see. Shane says AEW shows blood. Dustin Rhodes' bunkhouse match was great. I listen, I love the Rhodes boys. I'm a massive Dusty Rhodes fan. Dusty Rhodes was a father figure to me to growing up in a lot of different ways for a lot of different reasons. Why in the world did this match go on first on Dynamite? Why are we doing the blood in the bunkhouse? Why was that not the main event that night? That was mind blowing to me. You know what I mean? Did it feel weird to have it the first match? Like, I don't get that.
That's the thing. Arguably, it should have been a match on Full Gear, but then you've already got the I Quit match with Mox and Kingston. You can't have two kind of similar matches where there's going to be colors. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was a way to like we said about the Sasha and Bailey match the other week, to reel people in from the off, hit them with something big. Yeah,
you're right. It should have been on there, but there wasn't room for it. You're totally right. And I love Dustin to death. And QT Marshall's growing on me, if I'm being honest. They're really sold on him. Apparently, he does a lot of stuff behind the scenes of that company.
Okay.
So if they're sold on him, I can be okay with it too. Christopher Sims says Undisputed Era versus Pat's faction at War Games. They're definitely leading to it, right? Yeah. They have to be.
Yeah.
What's your take on Pat McAfee? Are you sold on this guy or what?
He's an irritating little man, but I like him. Like, I like the fact he's irritating. In that, I think Cameron Grimes is like an irritating little rodent, but that's part of the charm. And Pat McAfee's the same, but I'm surprised how good he is on the microphone. Like, really, really good. And he does his job every week. Like, he riles people up. Like, people genuinely dislike him, and he's doing his thing. And I think it's cool. This is definitely leading to something at War Games. And I think before Ridge Holland was injured, he would have been the fourth man in that little faction to take on Undisputed Era. Obviously, he's out for the foreseeable, and well wishes to him. But yeah, this will be fun. I mean, we saw how quickly Pat picked up things in his match against Adam Cole not too long ago, and looked absolutely incredible. So this should be quite fun, like chucking him in a match with kind of no rules and things to jump off. It's going to be nuts. So yeah, he's an entertaining guy.
Yeah, I'll give him a shot. We'll see how he does. Toby's not. He said, hard to take a former punter seriously. He's hating on the position now. You're going to hate on the position.
No love for special teams.
I know, right? Ray's not a huge Pat McAfee fan either, as we all know. He's an Adam Cole guy to the death. So let's knock out a couple more, and then we're going to take it home here, kids. Get back to everyday life here. This is a good one. We don't have a lot of time to cover it. Thoughts on Meska, big topic. Thoughts on how they're using Keith Lee. How do I take that question at the end? Sum it up for me as quick as you can. What is the? I was getting ready. It's like Jerry Seinfeld. What is the deal with Keith Lee? What is going on? Why can't I don't know.
To bask in his glory. Clearly, people backstage that are important don't want to.
Yeah, and this is kind of weird too. Keith's delivery when he talks, I'll tell you this. I'm okay with it because it's different and it's him, but they didn't prepare anyone for that. That, you know what I mean? Like if you're flipping your if you're flipping your TV around and you land on that, you're like, can he not speak? Is there a speech impediment? Okay? Is he okay? Has he had a stroke? What's going on?
Yeah, it's cool. Like, I like the way he talks, and if you've watched NXT, you get that's his shtick. That's how he talks. Like, he's an intellectual guy. He speaks slowly, but it almost feels like one of those things where say Vince or whoever else has watched NXT and gone, okay, that's what he does. Let's amplify that to 100. And now it's just really over the top. And now it's the most apparent thing about him when it doesn't need to be.
Yeah, you're right. It's like Vince watched NXT for like 3 minutes and said, "Oh, is that what he does? Great, let's go with that." So,
yeah.
Shannon says, "Troy, do you watch New Japan?"
I don't. I did briefly, and it was Jericho that made me start watching it when he kind of showed up and challenged Omega, and that was what first got my eyes to New Japan. I'll be honest, I don't watch a whole lot of it. The other guys that I run a podcast with pay a little bit more attention to it, and I know that we've got we had the G1 climax not too long ago, and we were kind of watching like bits and pieces of that. And then is it the Best of the Super Juniors that's coming up soon, or is it?
Yes.
Yeah. So again, like with bits and pieces, not anywhere as much as I need to or should do, because I'm aware a lot of what they do is fun to watch.
Oh man, it's I can tell you're a real fan. You would, and I encourage my audience every week, because like in the States, it's like $9.99 a month, which is what, like 7 pounds for you, 7 or 8 pounds? Is that how it equals out? Something like that?
750, yeah, thereabouts.
Yeah. So and it's that pay as you go thing. I mean, dude, if you got it, I'm telling you right now, you would never cancel it because it's phenomenal. Like, I can't say enough good things about it. They get done in a 2-hour show what WWE takes 2-3 weeks to get accomplished with very, very few promos. Very few. It's all in the ring.
I noticed. I watched Wrestle Kingdom from this year, and in fact the year before. Set it across 2 days. And yeah, again and I'd watched a little bit of the build up just to kind of know where I was with the pay-per-view when I watched it, and was like, where are all the promos? Where are all these? And I was like, okay, it's not a thing then. I was like, oh, they actually focus on wrestling. I'm not having to wait. I'm not having to wait 25 minutes into a televised show before I actually get a match. Like, they're just straight in it with no messing about.
Yeah, it's great stuff. It's culture shock if you've never watched it religiously. Yeah, and if because it was for me. But after a while, I'm like, this is basically the Crockett territory without the promos. It's you. I mean, in that country, in that promotion, you better be able to go. If you can't go, you're not going to make it long. They're not going to put up with. They won't put up with someone hurting somebody, but they also won't put up with he missed the punch, the kick was too weak. There's none of that's going to happen. I mean, you have to be able to deliver. If you can't work, I mean, that's earning. Exactly. That's earning your stripes in that country. Shout out from your boys, the Untitled Wrestling Podcast. Don't look at the fire-breathing dragon. I'm sure that's an inside joke.
Yeah, I'll tell you off air.
All right, guys. Well, listen, folks, we appreciate your business. We went longer than usual, but it's all good. We've had a blast. Troy, before we get out of here, plug your stuff, man. Tell the good people out there where they can find the Untitled Wrestling Podcast.
Sure. Yeah, you can hit us up on Facebook and YouTube by searching Untitled Wrestling Podcast. And you can hit us up on Twitter at Untitled Res Pod. We're aiming for, the guys are aiming for 1,000 followers on Twitter by the end of the year. And if that happens, I'm shaving my beard off. So kind of give us a follow, but don't give us too many follows. Give us all of them.
How long have you had the beard?
I don't remember the last time I shaved it all off.
Wow.
Probably 5-6 years.
Man, I had the beard. after my son was born, and for the first 3 years, I think 2 or 3 years, and then I decided to shave it all off. He was scared to death because he didn't know who's the clown that just walked out of the bathroom. This is not my dad. So, yeah, it was a shock to the system. Well, Troy, brother, I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
I'm going to take you off a screen here in a bit, but don't split. I'm going to talk to you after we go off the air here. So, thanks again, man. I hope you come back. I appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you. Thanks for having me. And yeah, I'd love to come back at some point.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, man. Everybody tell Troy we appreciate it. And we're going to leave you with this. Shannon says, Tom, you should have Troy on more often. There you go.
Bless you. Thank you.
You've already made some fans. Troy, thanks again, brother. Have a great weekend and hang tight. I'll get right back to you.
Cheers. See you later.
Yes, sir. All right, kids, there you have it. I want to thank everybody for watching, as always, for coming back. My lighting always sucks, doesn't it? It's always a work in progress. I got a face made for radio, Jack. You better believe that. All right, we ran long. I've talked enough as it is. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. I appreciate it, as always. Everybody have a great week. Be safe out there. Take care of each other. Wear your mask. Don't be a little doofus. Be sure you're doing the right thing. And again, thanks, everybody, for hanging out. And we will see you guys next week. Can you tell I'm stalling to cue it up? There we are. That's it for us, kids. Thanks again. We appreciate it. See you next time. Tom Clark's Main Event.